welcome to Colleagues Getting Coffee. My name's Annelies James, and today I am ecstatic to be joined by the fantastic Alison Allsopp, who is the philosophical thinking coach.
Thank you.
It's quite a mouthful, that. Philosophical thinking coach.
It is.
So what is a philosophical thinking coach, darling?
A philosophical thinking coach? That is a very hard question to answer.
Even your answer is thoughtful.
I know. Even my answer is thoughtful, because where do I begin? So maybe I have to take us back to where my philosophical thinking has come from. So philosophical thinking is about thinking deeply about what matters in life.
Yeah.
And that comes from my background working with children and teachers in schools, training them in an approach called philosophy for children. And it's from that had a big impact on me as a person, in my personal life, not just in my professional life. And when I stepped away a couple of years ago from the charity that I was working for, I decided that I'd sort of do some training in more qualification in coaching, and then I was thinking, well, how can I still sort of intertwine my philosophical thinking experience within my coaching. And really, coaching is about helping people to find out what they want in life, to help them find their purpose and direction and what they want to do. And so it just made sense that I just slightly emphasize the philosophical side of things, the deeper thinking, the reflecting, the stopping, the pausing, and within my coaching work.
There's a lot, I think, of coaches and people who do this kind of, pause, reflect, and move forward quicker, and those kind of models that exist. But when I came across what you do, I was like, oh, I think I'm a philosophical person. Like, the way that I see the world, I do think quite deeply. I'm quite reflective. So it really spoke to me. I sort of understood the benefit of what I was going to get. And I come to something you do called Philosophical Friends, but you kind of understand that you're a deep thinking person. And if you go there, not in a trauma way, but in a thinking expansively way, you're going to find the answers. And I think that's actually a really unique way of finding answers nowadays.
Yes, and let's sort of expand a little bit on that in the what is philosophical and what is distinctive about talking to people and having conversations in a philosophical way is not just about stopping and pausing, but it's about thinking about the big ideas in life. The bigger, what we call the concepts, what is important to us. And it's about almost labelling them, almost bringing them to the fore, bringing them to the surface. So, for example, a lot of people talk about what success is. What is success? Oh, I want to be in business. I want to be a successful person. Okay, what does that mean? Because success to me is maybe different to success to you. So it's about exploring the big idea of success and coming to some understanding for oneself. And when we do that, so I wouldn't say that I'm a one-to-one coach. I do one-to-one, but I wouldn't say that is my preferred area. I like to get people together, and I like the power of people thinking for themselves through thinking with each other. I
think it's huge that as well, because I think with coaching you can really deep dive and get all in the mud, but sometimes it's not very useful. And I think oftentimes when you bring people together, that they help each other more than the facilitator does.
Yes,
which is amazing. And as a facilitator without an ego, which I imagine that you are, well, I know that to be the truth, you don't need to be the show.
No.
You are, it's happening in front of you, and you've just sort of like the alchemist of it, I suppose.
Yes. I guess what I would say is that the facilitator in the context of philosophical thinking is not the sage on the stage, but would be the guide on the side.
I love
I'd use that. And what's really empowering for the facilitator is that over time, and when I started off, I wanted to give my opinion, I wanted to give my view when I was facilitating with teachers and children in schools. And then over time, you realise that's just so not important.
Great, yeah.
It's about what the people are doing within the group, and it's my role to notice that. So we've strayed a little bit from the coaching side, but that's more in facilitating philosophical conversations. And what the benefit of that is that people find meaning and find understanding, and they appreciate that other people think the same as them, but also that they have their own thoughts, and that's okay, and they may be very distinct and very different from how other people think, and that they're not odd because of that.
I think that's one of the things that I've seen from your group sessions are that it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to have any opinion.
Yeah.
Because it's not a place for being right. It's a place for thinking deeply.
Yeah. So I just will pick up on the thing about this idea about nothing's there's not a right answer. It is that's correct in a sense that we all bring our perspectives and our views, but what's important in philosophical thinking is that we do not just make claims. We make claims backed up by good reason and good judgment and evidence. And I think that that's really what we want, what I wanted as a teacher. My background's in teaching. That's what I wanted to bring to children, is that you have a right, everybody has a right to have their views and opinions based on some critical thinking. And critical thinking is about good reason, good judgment. And where do we get that from? We get it from our values. We get it from, we do get it from what we've learnt in life and what our experiences are. And I guess I'm going back to this idea about how should I live my life? What is a good life in being a good person, in contributing to society, in how we respond with other people, how we judge the behaviour of other people, and to bring that out in the best way that we can to help.
The question I've got, because I'm going right down a philosophical avenue.
Do. I love that.
So
I do.
In a society where value or values are less exciting than money or fame or ego, what is going to happen? Do we need to encourage more people to be philosophical, or are we fundamentally unearthing these values that maybe are just trash?
It's a really difficult question, and I don't think I can answer that in a straightforward way. I think that we all, of course, the more that we talk with other people, the more we form our views and opinions of what's right and wrong. So, I mean, we're making some ethical judgments here, and I think you're right. There's such a lot of information now that's on social media that we don't even know what to do with that. We just sort of believe stuff. But to stop and go, actually, does that align to what I really think? And you and I have had conversations before about, we have a gut feeling about what is the right thing to do in terms of the bigger picture of what is being a good person, what is for the benefit of society as a whole. And I think it's sad that social media hasn't helped us to do that, because there's just people putting stuff in and not backing it up.
Well, also there's now machines putting stuff in, and now people are questioning what's real and what's not. So even some of these people that might, I don't know, promote hate speech, they might not even exist. They've got no skin in the game with this. So
that is quite a good example to go. It's like if we take some really awful statements that we hear or what people say, and it's about having the critical and creative thinking skills that you can teach and certainly model, and that's what I've spent most of my career doing in education, is to help children to critically think about what is right and wrong.
And I think if you actually positioned yourself as a critical thinking coach, then suddenly it sounds kind of more
practical.
Yeah, and I think there's something in philosophy as a word that I find really warm and comforting and welcoming. So and I think that's something I attribute to you as well.
Yeah, thank you. I think we've always struggled in the sort of the national charity that I work for. We've always struggled a little bit with this idea about getting practical philosophy into the into the public domain. It's easier in schools, but even that can be difficult. But we're not doing academic philosophy. We're thinking philosophically and teaching philosophically. So I guess I became a philosophical teacher, and that means I ask questions and I listen and I ensure that there's different perspectives around the room and I listen for voices that are not there. Okay, so, and that's going back to your question about how do we, when people are making claims and statements that don't sound good or kind or caring, what would a person who you are talking about or you are making judgments of say if they were here in this room?
It's a great way to represent everybody.
And of course, working with children is just such a great joy and pleasure because although they bring, of course, their own views and opinions from their own early experiences and their families, but they very quickly that it's not imprinted on them. So they. And I've had some difficult children that won't budge from what they think, but there is a power in the group. Yeah. There is a peer pressure that says, is it right? I don't know, it might be, is it right to hit someone back when someone hits you? Is it right to tell a lie? So it's not my job to tell those children whether it's right or wrong. It's my job to question the ethical nature of what it is we're talking about in the bigger context of what is good.
And then if you're also being that voice of advocacy for people who are not in the room, then you're making sure that it's actually really inclusive as well.
Yeah.
Because, locally, if you're doing stuff in schools, it's diversity-wise is low. And so it's good to be that voice of reason as well, that other, like devil's advocate, I suppose, isn't it?
It is exactly that. In fact, one of the critical thinking moves is being a devil advocate is, okay, so you've said that, but what if that happened? So I guess, and that you have to be on the ball to do that and notice how people are responding to each other. There's a lot of dynamic in that.
I much prefer shops and facilitation of groups. Like I've done some coaching one-to-one and I find it too intense, and I'm actually developing something hopefully to launch in the new year. We'll see. But and that will be tools within a framework, and then I'll coach in that framework. Because then you stay out of it. Because I think sometimes you can go in and wallow in it, really get in the mud, and I just don't want to. I don't think it's particularly. It can be useful, of course, if people need to root things out. But I think moving forward and critically thinking and opening up to new perspectives and finding out new things about yourself is actually intrinsically positive.
And you can do that with other people. So I run I've developed a couple of courses on the back of the philosophical thinking approach, and that's sort of finding your life direction. And that essentially is about bringing people together who just need to reflect on where they are and think about their beliefs about themselves, but think about their values, what matters to them. And, these are very common things in the context of coaching individuals, but I think what I probably do is to depersonalize it. So I look at very much what do we mean when we say a value? What is a value? What does that mean? And the beliefs and what and so that people are working it out for themselves. And that is a central thinking around coaching generally anyway, is that people are working on themselves. But I think what I've noticed very much is that the courses that I've done, which again is a little bit, it's hard to recruit sometimes because people go, oh gosh, finding your life direction. I have to take a lens to my life. Yeah, you do. And you have to. And so in a group, there's a vulnerability there, and you have to be quite brave and courageous to go and prepared to say something. Although I don't ever feel that I would put people on the spot. Often that is what we call content free. So I will ask questions and get people, but inevitably what happens, people start to talk because I've given them a space, and they learn a lot from each other. It's just so, I can't tell you how that is really so empowering for the person, for me, and so very satisfying. All I've done is ask a question.
So you've mentioned lots of different things around kind of finding life purpose, success, kind of this values-orientated stuff too. So what, in your professional opinion, are we all searching for?
Being happy, I think. Feeling better about yourself. People have lots of insecurities, and they often lack self-belief, and we all do to some extent, and maybe we all do. We all have our what I call our sort of limiting beliefs about what we can or can't do. But I think there is this seeking of this perfect sort of life, which is just not possible. So I think that if we could draw back and say, well, okay, well, what matters to you, and is what matters to you are those things are what driving what you choose to do. Yeah. But I think, what are we searching? I mean, maybe an easier question is, what am I searching for? And it's just I think it's something about living in the moment of my life, living in this life, because it is, as you get a bit older, maybe that perspective has changed as I've got older, but it's about this moment now that we're having, not about not an end for me. I'm seeking not the end, I'm seeking what's happening now.
Now, 100%. So I am absolutely obsessed with The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I went travelling around Canada by myself a good few years ago, and I took that book, and all I did was have this profound response to that sensation that right now, even if you've got every problem in the world, so right now we're sitting here, every problem in the world, like for me, things going on, my mum, work, like whatever, as you do, as everybody does, people watching. Right now, what is wrong? In this very, very specific pinhead-sized moment that's already gone since I started this sentence, nothing is wrong. Like right now, we're clothed, we're watered, we're in a nice condition, we've got a glass of Prosecco. Like, and if you can try and take your life to at that minute moment, you can step out of yourself for a second and be like, oh, I can breathe.
I love the way you say that. I hadn't really thought of it that way myself. That's really, it is. It's about, I think we as humans, our thinking defaults to everything that's difficult. And I think also there's a view in life today that you seek this happy state, but it's just not possible in a sense that life throws challenges at us all the time.
Absolutely.
And it's how we manage those challenges. And it's also, but I don't mean that, okay, we go, oh, let's all be happy about that, or I don't mean ever, but it's like some sort of appreciation of the other tiny things that are happening around that, and also our state of mind when we're managing difficult things. That doesn't mean to say we don't. I do this thing where I talk about how we're on a bus and we want to get somewhere, and we're happily on the bus and it's all going well, and then something happens in life. Somebody's not well, somebody in our family, we have a crisis, and and then we have to jump off the bus. We have to jump off for a bit, and we're upset, and it's challenging, and it's hard, and that's okay. It's things to be acknowledged, because I don't believe, things are hard, and gosh, people have had very, very difficult things to deal with, but it's how you manage your state of mind in that. And that when you're ready, if you believe, you can get back on the bus.
Yeah, I love that, because some people have like bus stops that are like da-da-da-da-da. And some people have bus stops that are like years apart, and they're like, this is brilliant.
And maybe also it's not about where we get to, because what I've noticed is that I do think it's about an awareness of what you want to do and be and have in life, but things change, and I think it's about recognizing that, oh, I've got to there, but it's not really worked for me, or and so a pathway may change along the way. It's about the process, not the end bit. And I think far too many, I don't know, people that I talk to, they just have it's a bit too idealistic and too much in the future, or too much, it's not possible, I can't do that, I'll never be able to change that. And that's a bit sad when people think they can't change stuff.
And I think that people are living, again, it's going back to that now moment. People live a lot in the past, they live a lot in the future.
And not in the now.
And not in the now.
Yeah.
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 So,
yeah.
Okay, obviously this year you did a TED Talk.
Yeah, my face like hugely lights up for that.
So that was quite a difficult process to distill all of your units into that format.
Oh my gosh, and you've just so helped me such a lot with that, Annelies.
I knew the greatness. I knew it.
I can't tell you how much that really encouraged me, and I think it's because I knew that you'd experienced some of the things that I'd done, and so I wasn't like talking into this sort of void of, and that's what's really hard with the work that, and me and my colleagues, anyone who's done a similar journey to me, and that would say, until you experience it, it's difficult to explain what it is. So one of my I was going to say, how am I going to explain what philosophical thinking is, what philosophy is, and how it can help you in your life in 15 minutes? And so you knew very well that I was like trying to fit everything in, and of course
boiling the ocean. Boiling the ocean.
And you helped me to really strip that back. I'm really grateful for that.
It was really amazing. I thought it was profound, and I think it was just the right level to enable people, and I mean like this format too, like how do we make it succinct enough that people can walk away and apply one thing to their
and I think I've taught one of my sort of slight, it's not all sort of perfect in a sense that my concerns, or maybe my own insecurities, are about how does that land with people that I've worked with in terms of the academic philosophy, because there is a lot more to this than what I said in 15 minutes. But I think I worked on myself to say exactly what you've just said. If I can introduce some ideas about practical philosophy and make it feel less academic and less distance from the everyday person,
100% win,
but
isn't it?
I think obviously there's a lot more about how I do that, how we do that in a group, and I've worked with children over many years, cycles of years, and there are some really deeper implications for society over thinking philosophically, and what we did as a national charity to promote and advocate for that. So sometimes it's not a lone voice, but had I watered it down too much, would I be judged on that? But having said all that, it was such, the whole process of the TEDx, the experience, the meeting people, the sense of belonging to a group that actually did not critique me in a way that wasn't going to be helpful.
Absolutely.
And was everybody trying to understand where everyone was coming from.
We really did a slam dunk with the first one. Don't know how we're ever going to create it again.
I don't know. I mean, and you,
but accepted, Annelies James. Let's do it.
Yeah, she can do it. Believe me, everyone. She can do it. She can do it. Annelies can do it. If anyone can do it, you can. And I think that is, I think it's about somebody seeing the potential of not just the person, but the subject matter. that is a real skill. It's not just, is it? It's a real skill that you've got to be able to do that. So you should definitely carry on with that.
I love all of this. I'm obsessed with it.
Aww,
I could just talk about this for about 5,000 hours. Fortunately, YouTube will kick us off. So the last question I'm going to ask you is, what one thing would you give if someone's in a moment of their life? What one thing would you say to them to help pull them out of themselves, or to think philosophically, or however you interpret that question?
I think, and this does come from something I do myself, and I would say to someone else, and something I said in my TED talk was something about it's being aware of yourself, and it is stopping, it is pausing just for a moment to ask yourself what really matters in life. What do I really care about? What do I want for myself? And I think I don't mean in a selfish way. I just mean that in terms of it's that really deep thing about what do I care about? And thinking about, is what I do driving what I really care about in my life? So something about caring, for sure.
I love that. And I think this time of year, kind of New Year time, is a really good time to ask those big questions, to set the intention, not with the pressure of like, can't eat chocolate, because that's never going to happen. Stop drinking Baileys.
No, never. Yeah.
But it's a really good time to be like, if I lived with intention, what does a good life look like for me? And actually, because I'm already thinking about that, like, how can I... 12 months is not long anymore.
It's not long.
At all. No. It's so short. And the year goes like that. So I'm going to literally just commit myself to, like, what does a good life look like? And where are we going?
I do. And I think that you also, and you do, you personally, from what I know from, our sort of friendship and association with the TED Talk, is that it's how... The other big question is, how can I contribute to society? And that is bigger than us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that gives people a lot of fulfillment. It might be just a tiny, small thing, but how can I best contribute to my community, to the bigger society in a small way? It doesn't have to be dramatic.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's really, really.
And you do a lot of work.
But I'm like that person of captain of team too much. I can't help myself, but like, I'm doing puppets, and I'm doing a collage, and I'm doing TEDx. I can't stop.
You did it.
I need to calm down.
I know. There is some priorities, but that's the nature of your personality, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Darling. Well, we're going to now enjoy a little glass of Prosecco.
We are
and
on this lovely afternoon. Thank you for asking me. Thank you for the conversation. I really appreciate it.
And we're just going to now chat for about another 5 hours. Yeah.